and welcome everybody again to the Mysteries of the Library Revealed webinar. This time we are talking about reference and background information. So the Mysteries of the Webinar Revealed library series is a monthly webinar that we put on with a specific library topic. It is on the third Monday of every month, unless it is a holiday, which we will then postpone it to the fourth Monday. And it's at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And we cover many different library topics. They're all each half an hour long, and they're intended to give you the information that you need in a nice, small, short format. We do a wide range of them. So we have them in many different topics. We have two scheduled for the upcoming months. In September, we're doing a webinar on finding dissertations. And on October 21st, we're doing one on finding online information and evaluating that information. Tonight, we're talking about reference and background information. We're going to talk about what they are and why you would need them. We're going to talk about two specific databases that we have from SAGE. These databases contain encyclopedias, videos, and other reference material that will outline the research processes, provide definitions, and let you see the big picture as it relates to conducting research. And then we're going to talk about a couple other specialized databases that we have in the library. So with that, I'm going to change this over and let Andrea present for our next slide.
Okay, great. So everybody should be seeing a slide that says, what is reference information? So if you're not seeing that slide, if you can let us know. If you remember back to when you were in elementary or middle or high school, when you had to write a report, I know that I often would head directly to the reference section, straight to the encyclopedias. Compared to reading an entire book on your topic, reference books always tended to have the essential facts and an overview of the topic that I was looking at, and it also included a brief history and summary of current events and trends, which was much more helpful, again, than reading through an entire book on that topic. The Walden Library has these same reference materials, and they provide the same function that I just mentioned. The only difference in Walden reference materials is that they're not your high school World Book encyclopedias that have the very small entries, about a paragraph long. They're much more extensive, and they're for scholars written by experts for other academics. So they not only give you an overview of a topic, but they often provide much more extensive information. So they can talk about related theories and research methodologies. So just like journal databases that you search looking for journal articles, we have specific reference databases that you can search for encyclopedia and handbook articles. So to get some perspective in the difference between the two, let's briefly compare a peer-reviewed article with a reference article. If you look at the first entry listed there, you'll see that that's a research article. And if you remember back to your courses or other library webinars that you might have taken, peer-reviewed articles are focused on just one or two very specific variables related to a particular topic. So they're going to cover the information that was collected related to those variables in a research study. So if we look at the title of the first example, you can see that this is going to be an intensely focused article that's just going to give us a small piece of the puzzle having to do with drug use. In this particular case, it happens to be medical marijuana and prescription medication misuse. If we look at the second citation on the slide, we'll see that this is coming from a handbook. And the chapter title in the handbook is called The Sociology of Drug Use. And it comes from the Encyclopedia of 21st Century Sociology. So I can tell you, because it comes from a handbook, we're going to see a much broader coverage of the topic. And I bet once we look at it, we're going to find information about maybe some of the theorists having to do with this topic as well as related theories, as well as some other general information regarding drug use that likely is going to include things such as legalized drug use, prescription medication. So let's take a quick look at that article and see what it actually has in it. So this is from our database called Sage Knowledge, and this is the chapter. It's chapter 42. We can see that it came from the handbook 21st Century Sociology. And so if we scroll down and we look, we can see it talks about the sociology of drug use. So here's our overview. But what's really helpful is it's going to talk about what early research on this topic looked like. So hopefully no one gets a little seasick from all the scrolling I have to do, but then it's going to talk here about some specific theorists having to do with research. And you can see that again, it's not a World Book Encyclopedia entry. This, if we printed it, would probably be about 10 to 20 pages. So it's giving us an overview, but it's much briefer and concise than reading a 200-page article about the sociology of drug use. We can see early sociological insights, theories, and then if we scroll down, it has more information about current trends and issues. So if you're familiar with peer-reviewed articles, you can see that there can be a significant difference between peer-reviewed research and information that's in encyclopedias. So let's talk about, why is reference information important then? Well, I think from just the article that we looked at, it's not hard to see the benefits of using reference materials, because these are all the things that they can provide you. They can provide you information about a topic generally, which is often not in peer-reviewed research, because again, it's focusing on one or two specific variables in that research project. It'll give you a broader perspective of the topic in general. And what's really interesting is it can help you in understanding peer-reviewed research. So to give yourself context for how medical marijuana and prescription drug use fits into the overall concept of drug use, that encyclopedia article would be very helpful. It can also help you guide your research. So if you're having difficulties brainstorming or narrowing down a topic, again, this can be for undergraduates who are writing a research paper, all the way up to dissertation students who know a general area of interest, but they don't quite know where they might want to focus their research. Encyclopedia and handbook articles can be very helpful in that sense. And again, as I've mentioned, they can be indispensable in quickly identifying theories and methodologies that are related to that topic. So let's talk about the specific databases that we use to research reference material. I'm going to hop over to the library website. And when we're at the library website, this is just a general rule of thumb that I think you'll find helpful when you're navigating, is when you are looking to do something in the library and you don't find an obvious link or button on the home page, another good place to go to is Start Your Research up here on the top menu. That will often get you to just about every other type of information we have in the library. So if you click on Start Your Research and you look at Search by Type, if you scroll down all the different types of materials we have, you'll see a link for encyclopedias, handbooks, and dictionaries. So if we click there, you'll see our list of encyclopedias and handbooks, databases, and the two ones that we're going to focus on tonight in particular are Sage Knowledge and Sage Research Methods. Sage Knowledge is for general encyclopedias and handbooks, so like the article that we just looked at. Sage Research Methods, on the other hand, are encyclopedias and handbooks on research methodology. So to get started, let's look at some other examples of things that you can find in Sage Knowledge. Now, the article that we just looked at on drug abuse was from Sage Knowledge. So let's try one other general topic. Say, for example, you are either writing a research paper or your dissertation interest is in special education. So we can simply type in special education in the main search box. And we'll take a look at what we can find in some of the results lists. Some of the types of results you will see are entire handbooks on a topic. So we can see by looking at, let's see, I have slightly different results than I did before. I wanted to point out a complete handbook, but we will make do with what we have. So this is an article, a disability studies frame for research approaches in special education, but it's coming from, so we know it's a chapter because it says found in the Sage Handbook of Special Education, and there's actually 2 volumes. So we can either look at this particular chapter or we can actually look at the entire book. So let's say, for instance, we wanted to look at the entire book. If we click on it, you're going to see that it's going to have the same features as any other book. It's going to have a table of contents. It's going to have an index. So you can see that handbooks are going to be arranged by chapters. So they're going to be much more extensive and have a little broader scope than, say, an encyclopedia entry, and we're going to look at this. So again, we can look at the different sections. There's going to be ones on research, perspectives. I know that they have information about theories as well. So this is what a handbook looks like. You can print, you can search within the handbook, you can use the subject index. Just like any other print book you can, an online book has those same features. If we go back to the results list, let's see if we can find an example of an encyclopedia. So these are mostly handbooks. So again, hopefully nobody's getting seasick from the scrolling. Now you can see here again, this is a chapter called Special Education, but it's found in the Encyclopedia of School Psychology. So if we are to click on the chapter, we can see that it's arranged slightly different. Again, it's going to have a pretty extensive article, not as extensive as a handbook, it's a little bit shorter, but you can see that the table of contents is going to be entries A to Z. So it's not going to be arranged by chapter, but then again, you can also search the encyclopedia or you can use the subject index. Now, really quickly, I just wanted to mention that again, these resources can be indispensable for finding theories. So you can look at general theories. So if you wanted to look at some social theory and things that can be applied to sociology and the social and behavioral sciences, you can see that we have that we have an entire handbook on social theory. We have an encyclopedia of social theory, and then we have specific articles within them. Now that's very general. We can also search for something very specific like emotional intelligence, which is a very specific type of theory. It's a very specific theory, I should say. So you can see again, this is a chapter in the Encyclopedia of Industrial and Organizational Psychology, and you'll see these in different types of encyclopedias. They might be, or handbooks, they might be focused on education or psychology or maybe even business. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and turn the presentation over to Kim so she can talk a little bit more about SAGE research methods.
Thanks, Andrea. Are you seeing the SAGE? Are you seeing my screen with the SAGE research methods?
I am. It looks good.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to talk about SAGE research methods online. This is a database that allows researchers to explore different methodology and research concepts. But it's a little bit more than that. It's not just for finding information on a particular methodology or identifying new ones. It can also guide you on ways to integrate your research methods into your capstone projects and how to start your capstone projects and work through to the end. For example, it can explain the difference between planning and designing research. It can help you match research design with the appropriate research methods, and it can help distinguish between the different types of data that your research methods can generate. So let's go ahead and jump out to that database, and I'm just going to go through the steps that Andrea just showed you, just to reiterate them for you. If you click on the Start Your Research button at the top banner across every Walden website, and then search by types, you can click on encyclopedias, handbooks, and dictionaries. And here we have the link to Sage Research Methods Online. Excuse me. So we can search broadly or specifically in here. I can type in quantitative and hit search to see what they have on quantitative research methods. Sage is going to bring back everything that they have for this, for quantitative research. See, we have almost 10,000 results. So we can narrow those results, and there's a couple ways we can do this. We can narrow by content. We can just have books. We can narrow by reference materials or videos, in case you just want a short video to learn something quick about it. You can also narrow by discipline. So let's click select all to unselect everything, and then we can click on business and management, and it's going to bring up all the quantitative information that Sage Research Methods Online has in business. Let's see. And it always starts off with a definition, so with some links of other information on whatever the concept is that you are searching. You can also search for very specific research design in here. So let's say you're interested in cohort studies. So I'll put cohort studies in there, and it's going to find everything on cohort studies, but it always defaults back to everything. So it's not narrowed by business discipline or videos if I had selected that earlier. You can see it gives us the definition of cohort studies, and in our list we have a dictionary. So that's going to provide us with some definitions. We have a little green book, which just is shows examples of specific research design being used in actual research. And we have a couple of those. And then we have an encyclopedia. So we have a lot of those research resources that were in Sage Knowledge and a little bit more. One of my favorite things about Sage Research Methods Online is the methods map. The methods map is it's a conceptual mapping tool. It shows how methods, terms, and concepts commonly found in research are all related, and it kind of helps you find quick links between those different concepts. It starts off with a definition and a link that would take me back to the search results for cohort studies. But I can go down here and look for some broader terms, which is bringing us to longitudinal research. Now, longitudinal research, we have a definition up here, and then we have some related terms that I can click on, or I can go back and look at narrower terms. So here we have the cohort studies, but other different types of studies as well. We can look at census data. So if I wanted to find out more information on census data, I can just click on here, and it's going to bring back all the content on census data, and then I can use this box on the right to narrow it down a little bit more. I think this is taking, oh, there we go. Okay, so you can see we have some journal entries, the project planner, entries from book. This is a chapter in a book. What I want to talk to you now about is the project planner. This is a really cool tool that's in Sage Research Methods Online. Sometimes you get results that contain information from the project planner, or you can access it from the main page. Design a research project. And what this is basically a tool that goes over every step in a capstone project. You can see it kind of has it chronologically, and you can follow it chronologically if you want, or you can just come back when you have a question, no matter what point you are at. So let's say you are at the point of research design. If you click on there, it's going to bring you with a definition of what you should be doing at this stage. And then it has a bunch of questions that you may be asking yourself as you're going through here. So let's say you're trying to see, how can social theory help me identify a research method? If you click on this, it's going to give you some information about that, additional links outside to other resources in this database. Often there's going to be a video with a transcript. And if we scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see it has a checklist. So it can kind of help you through, deciding a method. So these checklists can be kind of helpful for you if you're stuck at any point of your capstone research project. And this can be any capstone research project. It can be a dissertation or a project study, or it could just be a final project due at in undergraduate or a master's level. Well, that's all I wanted to show you with regards to SAGE research methods online. So now what I want to do is bring this back over to Andrea, and she's going to show you two other really cool databases that we have in the library.
Great, thank you so much, Kim. So we are going to finish up by talking about two specialized databases that have reference type material in them. The first is called CQ Researcher, and it has in-depth reports on current events. And then we have Gale and Context opposing viewpoints. And again, it has topic overviews, but they're a little bit more oriented towards controversial issues. So they contain similar, they have a similar scope to them, but their information is arranged pretty differently. So we're going to take a look at what those databases look like and the information within them. So if we go back to the library homepage, since we know the name of the two databases, we can actually go down here to this button, Databases A to Z, and select those databases specifically. So if we want to look at CQ Researcher, we can click C from the menu. We can scroll down at the bottom to CQ Researcher and click on that. So again, this is a reference type database that looks at current events. So if you go to Browse Topics, which my hover is sort of acting all on its own without me clicking, you can see all kinds of subject areas, and within them, if we were to click on human rights, you'll see different articles listed. So if we were to look at education, we will see topics very current and things that you'll be seeing in the news: diversity issues, early childhood education. So let's take a look at what one of these reports look like. So they have featured reports, and then they also have a list of recently added reports as well. So let's look at prescription drug costs, because as many of us know, that's been in the news over the last few years. If not, it seems like forever. So let's click on here and see what is in this report. So again, like reference information, it's going to give us a brief overview and background. So it's much more brief than what we were finding in the handbooks. So it's very brief because they have a lot more other sections that are standard throughout the reports. So you can look at the current situation on prescription drug costs. So what is actually going on currently. We can look at what the experts on this topic are going to predict the future is going to look like. And I should also note that many of these reports, or I should say actually all of them, are centered around sort of a policy point, right? So can policymakers make medicines more affordable? So all of these areas are going to be related to that. That's good to know, because once you get to the pro-con section, you are going to read more commentary and editorial, again, from experts in this field, and you can see their qualifications under here, and they're both going to make a pro and con point for whether they think policymakers can make medicines more affordable. And like I had said at the beginning of the presentation, reference materials often have essential facts or timelines. And what's great about CQ Researcher is it gives you a chronology. So again, if you were looking at drug use, prescription drug costs, early childhood education, it's going to give you a chronology that is going to give you a very quick but extensive overview of the topic on a timeline type of format. So now, given this and some of the other materials that we looked at, it's good to note that often students will go to Wikipedia. I myself have gone to Wikipedia to get a general overview of a topic, right? Because Wikipedia, even though it's not credible in and of itself, it provides an overview of a topic. So I would recommend searching your topic either in Sage Knowledge or possibly CQ Researcher. So let's look at Gale and Context now and see the difference in what that looks like as opposed to CQ Researcher. So if we are going to go back to the library homepage, again, databases A to Z, and we can click on G for Gale and Context, opposing viewpoints. And again, this is based on controversial issues. And it has essentially the same information, but the format can be significantly different. So they have highlighted here featured reports, and then again, they have them by subject, so you can select those as well. So what's really interesting, since they're all current, you can see that they have topics related to the debate for the next election. So if we were to look at one of their current issues, if we were to look at racism and explore this topic, you can pick the subject that you want to look at here, and it's also the same format. The same information is down here, but in a different format. And you can see that the information is arranged more by type. So if you want to look at academic journal articles related to this topic or biographies, they have news and magazines for popular sources, as well as viewpoints. So if we were to look at viewpoints, this is going to be more experts' opinions or outlooks on this particular topic. And you can see that a lot of these are coming from the Gale Viewpoints collection. If we go back and we look at academic journals, you'll see that you're going to get a lot of research articles, and you can see the journals that they're coming from. Education Next, PLOS One, Capital and Class, Yale Law Journal. So you can go and read the journal articles related to this topic. So again, it's going to give you a quick overview. It's just that the format is arranged differently than CQ Researcher. So if you have any questions, now is a good time to put those in the questions box, because we've covered the 4 databases that we were going to cover. So Sage Knowledge, which is general encyclopedias, Sage Research Methods, which is related to methodology, encyclopedias and handbooks. And then we talked about our 2 specialized databases that have more of a focus on current and controversial topics, but again, have that same reference information. So I am going to go ahead and turn this over to Kim so she can close it up and show you how to
Great.
show you where to go for questions. So Kim, why don't you take it away?
Thank you. Okay, so if you have questions, we have a bunch of ways that you can get your answers. These are all links to those places on the library website, and I'm just going to go out there and show you how you can access them. From the library website, this banner that goes across the top of every library page, you can click on the Ask a Librarian link. Here you can email us a question. We answer emails within 24 hours unless the library is closed for a holiday. You can chat with us if chat is open. Today's date and the time chat is open is always highlighted in yellow. The times are in Eastern, and when chat is live, this little blue button is this button is blue. When it's not live, it's gray. So you could see you could chat right now with a reference librarian who is working. You can call and leave a voicemail, and we will respond to that voicemail by email. And if you needed a little bit more in-depth doctoral research appointment, you can always set up an appointment with one of our librarians. If you just have a quick question, one of the easiest things to do is to use our quick answers. These are our frequently asked questions, and if you have a questions, then somebody else probably has asked this before. So you can write in here background information, and we can see if we find anything on background information. They have biographical information, encyclopedias. I probably should have searched for, that's what I should, let's search for encyclo. Sorry, I can't type tonight. Did I spell that wrong? There we go. So here's how the encyclopedia answers, quick answers. When you click on them, it has information for you, pictures. Sometimes they'll have a short video and links to further information. So please feel free to reach out with us if you have any questions. I'm going to go and stop the recording. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and I'll hang out. Andrea and I will hang out for a little bit if anybody has any questions they want to ask us. Bye-bye.